What's going on, everybody? Gven Sariol and Billy Carson. Usually you introduce me. We're in the halls of a mentee tonight.
Yes, we're in the halls of a mentee where the river of life flows eternally onward.
Yes, yes. We're super pumped tonight. We're going to be talking about some stuff. We've now been able to collaborate twice now live.
Yeah,
you know?
2 live collabs.
Two live collabs.
3.
Three, that's right.
Right.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, 3, 1 pre-recorded.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So yeah, man, we're super pumped to have everybody here. We're going to be talking about something that is very near and dear to all of us, because we're all sick of grinding so down hard, and so many people, they just go crazy, man.
Yeah.
They just go crazy working, and then they never get anywhere.
No. Well, it's creating a lot of stress in the household. And even today on my feed, I saw some of the most craziest stories. A mother shoots her son for talking too loud on a video game, and somebody else got killed over a chicken wing or a burnt biscuit. It's just like, man. But people think that it's just about somebody being crazy. Mm-hmm. A lot of the times it stems from financial strain, which leads to frustration, fear, anxiety, and anger.
Yeah.
And then there's this outlashing.
Yeah. No. And we're just starting to see more and more of this, unfortunately. Like, people are just strapped these days. Mm-hmm. But I will say this, this isn't something new. Yeah. It's been around. I mean, you grew up in the hood.
Yeah, I did, man.
And you pulled yourself up by your bootstraps. Yeah. I was
under the ghetto.
Yeah.
I get being in the ghetto. I was under the ghetto.
Yeah.
Because the people, my neighbors had more than we did.
Oh, wow.
And which was crazy to see them going to the ice cream truck every day, eating good every day, running water and electricity. It was like, wow.
Yeah. No, and so my dad, he came from communist Cuba at 12 years old, and he was in the same predicament. He ended up in the hood. Mm-hmm. They were eating Spam. So this is not something that's new, guys and gals. Mm-hmm. This is something that has been going on for ages.
Oh yeah.
Since the beginning of time, there's been
memorial. It's always been here. This ebb and flow of finances and economies, rising and falling. Some people rising within them and then crashing. Some people never getting to the top of one when it rises. Yeah. It's just been going like this for a while.
It has. So today we're going to talk a little bit about how some of the things Billy's done and I've done. And listen, it hasn't always been easy.
No.
I mean, before I've actually become a millionaire twice now. Before I became a millionaire, it took me, I went up and then down, and man, I was living on a couch in a basement of a Russian kid's apartment in Russia.
Yeah, you told me about that.
Yeah, I told you about that when we were in Florida. And so we're going to talk about some of our stories, of our joint stories, of how we pulled ourselves out by our bootstraps. I think we need some Rudy energy in here, down, some underdog energy, because a lot of you are probably feeling that same way. Mm-hmm. A lot of you are feeling the heat right now, man. I'm never going to get out of this. And I'm telling you that if you grind hard enough, if you make the sacrifices and the changes, you can do it almost immediately.
Yeah. It's about shifting your vibration, shifting your frequency.
Yes.
I call it getting on the wealth frequency. You've got to switch into that wealth frequency, even if the wealth isn't apparent to you yet. Even if you don't feel like it's already happened, you got to believe that it's already happened. And this comes in handy when you're an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Because as you know, as being an entrepreneur, you have this ebb and flow, this swing of ups and downs, right?
Yep.
1 minute you're at the top of the world.
Yeah.
And then a week or two later, you can be like, oh man, what's going on, right?
Am I going to survive?
Am I going to survive till the next swing comes in? But you have to believe it's coming.
Yeah.
And you have to believe that it's going to happen. and you have to continue to take action steps every single day. And guess what? If you do that, the change will come.
Yeah, 100%, guys. Like, listen, you know, I've been in situations where I literally was like, I have no clue how I'm gonna pull myself out. And I'm reading some of these chats here, right? We got a lot of people that are ready. You know, we got a lot of people that are struggling. Underdog here, you know, Josh Bannett, underdog. Type in here. Are you in that state of mind right now? We're gonna talk all of ourselves out of this.
Yeah,
we got to, and we're gonna give you some tools, and we're gonna give you some stories. I like communicating through stories. That's the best way. I'm actually reading a buddy of mine book right now. His name's Mike, and not Mike Rashid, another guy. But I'll talk about this on my social media in the next few days. But you know, his story is insane. I mean, he went from he was working the worst jobs, going through drive-by shootings, all the if you would have looked at this guy, you would have been like, there's no way back then, no way you're getting out of this.
Wow.
And he became one of the top life insurance agents.
Damn.
He's a multimillionaire. This last year, he traveled all around the world on a cruise.
Damn.
I mean, it's like,
nice.
So I look at stories like that, and I didn't have a rough story like that. You had a rough story. Yeah. Mike had a rough story. But I think that all of you that are feeling that way, that are in the ghetto, I'm telling you, you can pull yourself out.
Yeah.
You can.
Yeah. You just have to understand that there are situations that have arisen that, for whatever reason, created a perfect storm to put you in the situation that you're in now. And it seems like there's no end or no way out. Trust me, I've been there many times, okay? I'm not oblivious, or I'm not immune to any of these types of shifts in levels of money and cash flow and abundance. But what I found to be the most consistent with me is always believing that abundance is my birthright. Literally, abundance is my birthright. And that's one thing we're going to talk about today, abundance and what it really is and what it means, and how do you get to that level of abundance? How do you get to the belief of the level of abundance that exists? We'll talk about that today.
Yeah, I mean, there's another book that I'm reading right now. It's called The White Book, and it's written by this person called Ramtha, somebody who ascended. It's really cool while they were Atlanteans. But I'll tell you guys, you can change your situation like that. And I've done it before. I have literally, I've been an entrepreneur since I was 17 years old. Okay.
Yeah.
And I had my own Christmas lighting business. I've had my own computer networking business. I've had a lot of different businesses, but I'll tell you, there were times where I was just like, I don't know how, but I know it's coming.
Yep.
And it's a feeling. And there was this part in the White Book that I was just reading, and it was like, it's as simple as this. You have to feel abundant. And then it goes on and quotes like, do you want it more difficult? Right. Like, do you want me to tell you it's more difficult?
Yeah.
Right. Like,
yeah.
And it's almost as simple as that, but it's also like healing, right? Like, I believe you can heal yourself from anything.
Yeah.
You may have like a displaced bone or something like that. Okay. You have a surgery, but like, Dr. Joe Dispenza healed his back. He was supposed to have back surgery. Right.
Yeah.
But I really do believe that it's about the feeling. And guys, gals, I want you to know this. It's not as simple as just feel it, just feel it. And all these things. Abundance is not a straight linear line up.
No. But
it's about feeling it before.
Yeah. You have to feel it before. And sometimes when you ask for abundance, or you want to move into that abundance and you're yearning for abundance, well, then the universe may test you. So you may be put in situations where you don't have any abundance, right? You don't have any abundance. So you have to realize, like, well, what does that mean? Why am I losing right now? Why do I feel like I'm not gaining what I need to gain, or getting access to what I need to get access to? Well, technically, It could be because now you're going through the process of paying your dues. You're going through the process of figuring out, how bad do you really want this particular thing, right? To get out of this thing, or to move into another thing, or to invest in this company, or to build your business. How bad do you really want it? Do you have what it takes to get through the smallest of tough times or the largest of tough times? Because that literally is what's going to make you really understand what true abundance is when you have it, and never take it for granted again.
Yeah, 100%, man. Like, there's so many lessons that I've learned, and I feel like it's sometimes like, okay, 3 steps forward, 1 step back, 5 steps forwards, 2 step back.
Yeah.
Like, we see this even in like crypto markets, in the stock market, right? Nothing, again, healing, nothing goes up in a straight line.
No.
And I don't care. It's ebbs. Yeah. And sometimes you're stuck down for a while, right?
Yeah.
But here's the thing. If you don't believe, you already lost.
Yeah.
And if you're not feeling, if you're not working and striving towards feeling, you already lost the battle.
Yeah.
If you truly feel like, man, I'm never going to get out of this, you're never going to get out of it. You're right. It's like the universe says, right? Or like Michael Beckwith says in The Secret, your wish is my command, right? The universe literally will give you exactly what you're vibrating on.
Absolutely.
And guys, gals, this isn't some BS hocus pocus. I'm telling you, I've even studied some of the best investors, some of the best traders, all right? Some of the best business people.
Yeah.
All of them have this overwhelmingly thing in common. They believe in themselves to their core, all right? To their core, and they feel it before it even happens.
That's it. Every single one. And, we talk about belief in Star Wars. I forget which episode, one of the older releases.
I'll tell you, I'm obsessed.
Okay. So Yoda is with the young Jedi, Luke, and they crash into a bog on some random planet.
Yeah.
And they climb out of the bog. The ship sinks into like this swampy bog.
Right.
They're on the shoreline, and Yoda tells Luke to use the Force to raise the ship.
Yeah.
And he's trying and he's not getting anywhere. And he goes, "Oh man, I give up," and he walks away.
Yeah.
And then Yoda taps into the Force and he raises it up out of the bog and he moves it across and puts it down on dry land. And then Luke comes running up to him and goes, I don't believe it. And he goes, "That is why you failed."
That's why you failed. That's Return of the Jedi, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah. So that's one of my favorite movies of all time. Yeah, exactly. I mean, man, I just got the chills thinking about that, because I'm going to actually go watch. I'm going to go watch Return of the Jedi now. But that is the truth. That is why you fail. You didn't believe the person you needed to believe in the most. Yourself. Don't believe in Billy. Don't believe in me. Don't believe in Donald Trump. Don't believe in Joe Biden. Don't believe in any of that. That's all external.
Yeah.
Believe in yourself, guys and gals. Like, that's how you're going to pull yourself out of poverty. That's how you're going to really do it, right?
It's the only way.
And here's the thing. When you start to believe in yourself, it doesn't mean that you ain't going to work hard.
Yeah.
That's what a lot of people think.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people, they're like, they make the vision boards. They sit there and they meditate and they think about it. Could something like that happen? Yeah. I mean, it could. Anything can happen.
It could.
Right? But I'll tell you right now, if you ain't willing to pull yourself out of the mud, just like Yoda did with the X-Wing, nobody is going to pull you out of it. Nobody is, except for yourself.
You're the only one. You are the savior that you've been waiting for. You are the savior that you've been waiting for. Not something else on the outside. It starts within you. When you talked earlier about it could change like that, right? It could change in a blink of an eye. I remember when some of y'all may have heard this story, where I literally was homeless. And I was sleeping in an old rusty beat up car that I bought on layaway for $375. An old Buick LeSabre Limited, 1979 Buick LeSabre Limited with a rusted out rag top. And I stayed in the parking lot of this little motel off of William Lehman Causeway back before they built all the high rises. And I asked the gentleman inside if I can just sleep in my car in the parking lot. I promise you I won't give you any trouble. He says, don't give me any trouble. And initially I was down and I felt like I lost everything. I felt like my life was over and I didn't know where I was going to go from there. And then that was only for like about a day and a half. And I said, okay, it's time to shift. Yeah. This energy has to shift. Yeah. I made a phone call, which was very embarrassing for me, to ask for a couple dollars. And I needed $30. Somebody gave me $30. I took $10 and used for gas. And the other 20 I went and got quarters from the guy that ran the motel. I took those quarters and I went to the payphone on the corner. Now there's a busy street that there with a traffic light. So I had to wait for the traffic light to turn red so I can call while the cars were stopped, so people wouldn't know I was outside. Yeah. This is back before cell phones. Yeah. So I do this. Well, cell phones were out, but they weren't popular yet. Not everybody had one. They had the big giant,
the bricks.
Yeah, the bricks. Yeah. And so I'm calling from the yellow pages that are attached to the phone booth, and I'm making my own appointments. And I'm going out on my own appointments. I'm parking my car far around the corner so they don't see my car. And I'm walking to the office so they don't, you see the car, it's like, this guy's not successful. Yeah. I knew that, so I parked around the corner. And I started closing deals.
There you go.
And within a very short period of time, I got deposits, I got full payments, I got enough money to get myself into an apartment. Eventually, I got myself a new car. Eventually, I bought a house back again, and I built myself all the way back up from a pocket full of quarters. But it started with the belief in myself. If I didn't believe in myself, none of that was going to happen.
Wow. That reminds me of the pursuit of happiness.
Yes. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like right now, guys and gals, we should put together a playlist for everybody, because there's a lot of people right now that are feeling this. Mm-hmm. All right. There's a lot of people right now that are feeling this in the audience. I'm seeing this chat fly like a parabolic Bitcoin shark right now. And it's normal to feel that way. All right. I want you all to know it's normal. It's in your human nature to feel that way. But it's also in your human nature to think the opposite. Mm-hmm. It's also in your human nature to go, all right, man, I'm going to defy the odds. Yeah. Today is the day I'm going to make this happen. Mm-hmm. Now, what is it that, like, and I want to get to you, mm-hmm. but what is it that I've done in terms of pulling myself up by my bootstraps? Like, there's been times where I'm sitting there, even with my business, Art Crypto, at one point in time, I actually almost considered giving up. Mm. And the reason was I had, at that time, probably about $500,000. Yeah. I was making money just investing on my own. And I'm like, man, is it even worth it for me to teach people? Maybe I just invest this. Mm-hmm. I had some investors. I'm like, I'll send them their money back. Yeah. And that's it. Mm-hmm. And I'm really glad that I didn't, because I've changed a lot of people's lives.
Yes, you have.
I've been able to really learn stuff about myself, mm-hmm. about even my own way of investing. Mm. And I love what I do. Yeah. I love teaching crypto. I love finding the next alpha. I love using AI. These are some things that we're teaching now in the course, some AI stuff that's really, really next level. Mm. And I wouldn't have been able to do that. And I was about to give up.
Right.
I was about to give up, but then next thing I knew, boom, it turned around. Mm-hmm. And we've been successful ever since. Yeah. And don't get me wrong, because each level comes with its hardships. Yes, and it seems like it almost gets harder and harder.
It gets a little harder. You get tested again. You're like, man, I was going so good. What happened?
Yeah.
And then boom. Oh, shoot.
Yeah.
I ran into the door. Oh.
Yeah, exactly. So listen, here's the thing. Just because you've leveled up doesn't mean, all right, let's kick up our feet, right? Because the universe, God, Chi, whatever it is that you believe in, will keep testing you.
Yeah.
It'll keep testing you and keep bringing you to your new next greatness. Mm-hmm. But it comes at a cost, and sometimes almost at a cost that you believe is impossible to face.
Yeah, sometimes it can seem insurmountable. But when you're faced with something that appears to be insurmountable, it instantaneously triggers fear in you. You just got to remember that fear is false evidence appearing real.
Yep.
And your next breakthrough could be literally right around the corner. It could be sitting and standing in the room next to you. It could be anywhere. The opportunity or connection to the next opportunity that will fix everything is within your grasp. And you have to believe it, but you also have to be on the swivel looking for it.
100%. And so look, I'm going to give you a little bit about my story. Okay. So when I was actually diagnosed with cancer, colon cancer, back in 2018. I went through the surgery. I elected not to go through chemotherapy. And I ended up, at that time, it wasn't just cancer. Like my life was like a country song, right? My cat of 16 years died. I love that cat. I was going through a divorce. I had to move back in with my parents. Ooh. The crypto market was bleeding. Oh. I invested $250,000 into 2 restaurants. I lost that.
Restaurants are horrible.
Oh, restaurants are tough business. Unless you're really passionate about restaurants, it is a tough business. I mean, I had a panic attack. It was insane. It was insane. But anyways, I ended up going from a millionaire to a 10,000aire. Okay. And so what did I do? So, and here are some tips for you guys and gals listening. Okay. Cause my story might be different from your story. Okay. So what ended up happening was I said, I need to go on a sabbatical. I still had a monthly income of $9,000, but I was living in Newport Beach, California, and it was very expensive to live there. Way too expensive. All right. I wasn't living in the lap of luxury. And so I said, I need to go on a sabbatical and I need to recharge because I feel like my life force is being sucked. And this is after I had already beaten cancer. I was at about a little over a year of in remission. And I ended up going to Bali first and then to Russia. And I kid you not, everybody. All right. I literally had about $35,000 at the time. It was all in crypto. All right. That's it. I only had crypto. All right. And I ended up going to Bali. I spent 6 days in silence, like meditating. And then I went to go to Russia, which is where I met my wife and the mother of my beautiful daughter. And I ended up working with a Russian shaman doctor. Okay. Now, this was March of 2020. So we all know what happened in March of 2020. All right. The whole world shut down. And for me, even worse, that $35,000 turned into $15,000 in the matter of seconds because the crypto market crashed. And that was all I had left to my name.
Wow. It wasn't in the stable coin at the time.
No stable coins. I was going for the moon, man. I was going for the moon.
Oh, man.
And so what happened? Did I panic? No. In fact, I was in a meditation and talking to myself, I asked myself, what would you do to feel better? Because I was just in this panic attack when I was back in California. I'm like, man, I don't have enough money to pay for this. I don't have enough money to pay for that. I don't even know why I'm still alive. Why am I the one who lived? There were some people who had colon cancer around the same time. They died. Wow. Why am I alive?
Damn.
And I'm sitting there. And so I've kind of worked through those demons and I end up saying, okay, what would I give up to feel better? And what would I do to feel better? And what would I give up to feel better? My answer was everything. And what would I do to feel better? I said anything, except for, like I wouldn't kill anybody or something like that or steal. But it was what God inside of me was asking me. And I know that it wasn't going to lead me to that. It was a very calm voice. It was a loving voice. And so when that market crashed, I wasn't afraid. In fact, I was actually pretty pumped.
Nice.
And I was sitting there and I was like, this is my opportunity. This is my opportunity to get back up because the whole world is feeling this now. So it's not just me. We all in this together.
Yep.
And next thing I know, I just kept moving up and learning and learning. I was so passionate about it. I quit my job. Talk about giving everything up. I gave my car up. I gave my apartment up.
Wow.
I gave it all up. I listened to my God.
Yeah.
And I said, let's go, baby. I'm in this, ride or die, baby.
Nice.
And now, you know, we're here, we're collabing. I was listening to you, man. I was a fan, and now I'm sitting here with Billy Carson.
Hey, sometimes you got to jump off the cliff with no parachute. You know, you just have to do it sometimes. You know, when you're talking about what happened during the, you know, the turn of the COVID situation, I had dreams of building a streaming TV platform. So much so that I launched Forbidden Knowledge TV before Netflix was selling streaming.
Oh, wow.
And within the first month, I had over 1 million views on a few episodes of stuff that I, you know, filmed low budget. But the bill came in for like $1,400. And I was like, adding up the views versus how much it would estimated cost with 20 million views or 30 million views. And I was like, yeah, I can't launch this right now.
Yeah.
I'd be broke.
Right.
So I saved the name though.
Yeah.
And right around the time that COVID, right, I was coming from Australia with the Aboriginals and everything out there, and Stevens and Strong and his dad and everything. And the lockdown was happening. And I was in this very weird place within Forbidden Knowledge, within the company. I had expanded to the point.
Sorry, guys, we're getting some feedback that Billy's mic is not working so well. Can you guys hear Billy? Let's see.
A little bit louder?
Yeah.
I'll put it on the outside just in case.
Yeah.
Okay, so I just come back from Australia with the Aboriginals, and I was just like, you know, the company's expanded to this weird gray area point where it's kind of needs more people and it doesn't have enough to pay more people, and it's in this weird area. And I said, Forbidden Knowledge TV, Prime is out, Netflix is out, Hulu is out, all these platforms are out. Bandwidth fees have to be down.
Yeah.
And sure enough, it was.
Oh, wow.
So I launched Forbidden Knowledge TV during the pandemic.
Oh, wow.
And it just blew up.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's sick.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I mean, look, I'm seeing here, like, you know, Melissa, she beat cancer too.
Wow. Fantastic.
Thank you, Melissa. That's great. You know, and look, here's the bottom line. Everything in this reality, at least, is sometimes things need a break to be rebuilt. Even our muscles, our cells, our bodies, our businesses, our jobs, right? And that makes us stronger. It makes us more resilient.
Yeah.
And I think that people need to start thinking a little bit outside of the box. And right now it could be a little bit more intense because life is expensive.
Yeah.
You know, we're going through these ebbs and flows. Don't think that back in 1971 that they weren't feeling this either. Like, they had hyperinflation back then. That's when the United States went off the dollar standard because they didn't have enough gold to cover the gold. If somebody came in with $1, they were sweating bullets because they're like, man, we don't have enough gold. We started printing more, which is what's been going on since the beginning of time, right? It's called debasing your currency. But here's the thing. People don't think that people haven't felt like you're feeling right now. Okay. But don't think also that us as humans or people have not pulled themselves up and pulled themselves out of the mud, like Yoda. All right. Like Yoda lifting the X-Wing. They've done it over and over and over again. And yeah, things seem harder in your butt. It's never been like this, but we have AI. But guys, back in I think it was the early 1900s or the 1800s, farmers literally went extinct by 90% because of the tractor. By 90%. Okay. I know Pachamama says she's tired. I know you're tired. But listen, it's when you're the most tired, then when you're the most beat up, sometimes that's when you're the most resilient. Yeah. Not all the times. You could give in. It's just like there were people who died from the same colon cancer as me. Same exact stage, same and 6 months later it came back, took their lives. Yeah. And I'm not saying I'm special. I'm not saying anything like that. I want you all to know that. But it was my mindset that I was like, no, I'm not dying. In fact, this cancer thing, I actually know I can beat it. And I did, right? And so, and I did go, again, I want to make everybody clear of this. I did go through with the surgery. They cut about a foot of my colon out. Wow. But I told them, I'm not going to go through chemotherapy. Yeah. 4 doctors told me, you need to go through chemo. You need to go through chemo. But I did all that investigating, and I was like, man, you guys are going to make like $87,000 off me. And that was back in 2018. Yeah. Now, God knows what that is. Probably $150,000.
Oh, probably. $100,000 to make every cell in your body sick.
Sick. And the doctor says, well, you're healthy. That's why you should do it. I said, well, is it based on the research I've been doing? I'm healthy. So why would I make myself sick? Why wouldn't I now go? It's been removed. Why don't I now go do my best to become healthy? And that's what I did. Yeah. And I'm here, 7 years, almost 8 years later, alive, knock on wood. Yeah. So, but guys, gals, I'm really, really here to tell you that we, as a whole, we can pull ourselves out of this.
Absolutely. Excuse me. One of the first things people have to realize is let's analyze the problem.
Thank you.
So what begins to happen is hold on a second, I clear my throat. Excuse me. What begins to happen is that we focus on the problem too much. And so when we focus on the problem too much, we're not even thinking about a solution. So we want to get from problem to solution. So what we have to do is you have to analyze the problem, because the problem obviously is there. Otherwise, you wouldn't be in the situation that you're in. But now let's not hyper focus on the problem. Now let's go ahead and see what we can do to find a solution to this problem. So get out a pen and paper or a notepad, excuse me, sorry, or your phone or whatever, your notepad on your phone, and then just start typing. And what are you going to start writing and typing? You're going to start writing down potential solutions, even if they're out of your reach. What would solve this problem? And just keep writing and writing and writing and writing and adding more solutions on this piece of paper so you can figure out what it might possibly be that could lead you to ending or fixing this problem. And then after you add all the potential solutions to the problem, then write down on another side of the paper, who do you think that you personally know, or even if you don't personally know them, who do you think or what do you think would allow you to connect to be a part of a solution to the problem? How can you become a part of this actual solution? So if you can become a part of the solution or figure out what the solution is, and even if you figure out what the solution is, then find someone to help you with the solution, then you begin to fix the problem very strategically. And so it's all about analyzing the problem, but then now hyper focus on solutions. Solutions-based thinking. Every single day, we're both in business. Yeah. We have situations daily. If we focus on every single situation as a problem, we'll never run the business. Our jobs as CEOs and executives is to solve problems all day long. So we solve problem after problem after problem. We solve. When a problem or something pops up, I don't go, oh man, this is it, it's over, or this is horrible, or I go, okay, how can we fix this? How can I navigate this situation? That's what my mind goes to. Yeah. It's the opposite of what the average person is thinking. Once you get to the point where your brain is in solutions mode versus problem victimhood mode, then you will climb out of the dark hole that you're in.
Yeah, I agree. So now hopefully you all have written this down. Okay. So problem, solution, right? And look, it's not just like, oh, boom. All right. Yeah. No, you've got to now work on that. Okay. You
Yeah.
got to work on that. And so what we're going to do is kind of an exercise, and we're going to include, we have a financial independence, retire early worksheet that I actually give to my students. I'm going to give it to you guys for free today. Okay. No questions asked. You guys just take it, and I'm gonna show you how to work it. All right. But if you're in these dire straits, if you're like, man, I feel up to here, I can't get out. All right. You just got to shift your mindset. You got to shift your mindset. And it doesn't just mean, oh, just start thinking differently and that's it. Mm-hmm. You have to start thinking differently and then go, okay, I don't like my current environment. How do I change it? One of my teachers, it was funny because like when I was going through cancer, that was one of the things she taught me. If you don't like your environment, change it. Yeah. Right? So there's little things that we can change, right? A lot of people, let's say for instance, you're drowning in credit card debt. All right. Maybe you want to put your credit card debt on hold right now. If you're barely making ends meet, you tell those people, the credit card companies, yo, my family's got to eat and I got to start thinking about myself here. And I plan on paying you back, but maybe you even get to the point where you need to file bankruptcy. There's no shame in that. But you have to start looking at alternate ways. And this is what I did, by the way. All right. When I was in Russia, all of a sudden I'm like, I didn't feel like the boogeyman was going to come chase me in Russia. Like just wasn't going to happen. Yeah. So with all these creditors, I said, you know what? I literally called them all up and I said, you guys can all hold. You guys can wait. And the cool thing was too, is that by living in Russia, like in Newport Beach, it was $4,000 a month that I was paying for my rent. Okay. In Russia, I was living it was a nice 1-bedroom with an ocean view. It was beautiful. Russia does have oceans, by the way, for $800. And so I'm like, wait, I'm making $9,000. I have to pay $800. And then maybe I was spending on really good food, $1,000 extra per month. Wow. So I had a lot left over. So what I started doing was I started taking a look at all my debt. And then I said, at this point in time, I was really restarting my crypto business. I said, I need to invest in crypto because it's down right now. I see the opportunity. I was just learning every single day something new. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I'm going to put this to work. Yeah. And it worked out. Yeah. I mean, big time. I made millions of dollars by doing that. But if I would have just been sitting there thinking, oh my God, my credit cards and all this stuff, I was like, no way. This is a business. Yeah. Guys, gals, everything in life is negotiable. Yeah. Everything is negotiable.
That's a fact. I learned that. Everything.
Yeah. Everything.
Everything is negotiable.
Yeah. Yeah. So here's what I did. I just took a look at what my debts were. All right. I took a look at what my expenses were. And remember when I told you guys at the beginning, I said, what did I ask myself? What would I give up? Everything. I had a nice Land Rover. All right. I had a very nice apartment. I had a nice lifestyle in Newport Beach, but I said, I have to make drastic changes right now. Mm-hmm. And so what did I do? I picked up, I got back to the US 4 months later. I was in Russia during lockdown. Ooh. All right. I got back to the US 4 months later. I packed up what I still had left. I sold everything else, couches, TVs, seats, everything. And I moved my ass to Denver. And instead of a $4,000 per month apartment, I had a $1,500 per month nice apartment. And I ended up selling a piece of another business that I had. Now, some of you may not be as fortunate to do that. Okay. I get that. But there have been times in my life where I didn't have a piece of a business to sell either. And I had to figure it out. I don't know what your situation is, because everybody's situation is different. And if you want to type your situation, and maybe Billy and I can read it and pick it apart. All right. But I will tell you this, and I think you would agree with me. If you're stuck, you got to change your environment. You got to change up.
You have to. The people that are around you have to change. You know, and just something that everyone's not going to go on your journey, and trying to be around everyone that you have known for so long, friends or family. Sometimes you need to disconnect from those friends and those family members so that you can continue on your journey. They'll go on their own journey. It just is what it is. Everyone's not meant to go on the same journey that you're on. There's 101 ways to enlightenment, and everyone's on their own road. And I think that it's important for you to understand that sometimes the people that are in your inner circle could be the ones that are holding you back the most. The chatter, the talk, the doubts, all those things begin to creep into you. People talking you out of your dreams. All those things can happen. You have to understand who is around me, and let me analyze these people and analyze what are they doing? What opportunities are they seizing? Are they living their dreams? Are they where they want to be? And if not, and if you're the strongest, brightest light in the room, then you need to put yourself in a room that has brighter and stronger lights than yourself.
Yeah. You know, I actually want to read this comment, all right, that male nomadic lion put up. He says, I've retired in my mind. I went within everything I need is within. I'm without lack of.
Boom. That's a powerful affirmation.
Look.
Yeah.
Look, here's the bottom line, okay? I even have people who have moved outside the United States, students of mine, who have moved outside the United States. They're not millionaires.
Yeah.
They're not even 100,000aires. But now they're in a position where they live outside the United States. They don't pay the same taxes you all pay. All right. They get $125,000 exemption. So that means you don't pay taxes up to $125,000. If you're married, $250,000. Yeah, that's a big write-off, right? And yeah, I mean, with $250,000, I mean, what do you keep? You keep like 40. I mean, if you live in California, you keep like $70,000 of that money, right? But people don't realize, like, they get stuck in this, like, I can't. No, but this. But my mom lives here, but my dad lives here. And it's like, yeah, but that's fine. But don't complain that you didn't make a shift and that you're still in the same position because you did nothing different.
Yeah.
Like, so many of my friends are like, man, you're so brave. You moved. I'm like, brave? I just didn't want to pay high taxes. I didn't want to pay high overhead. And I wanted to bring it to where I had like a fighting chance.
Yeah. Yeah. You gotta, put the odds in your favor.
You got to put the odds in your favor.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. But nonetheless, let's say male nomadic lion, or like my student, Lynn. All right. I love her to death. She's a sweet, sweet woman. One of the sweetest people. Her smile will light up this room. She came from you, by the way.
Nice.
Listen, she's retired in her mind. She ain't a millionaire. And look, you don't have to become a millionaire. You don't have to become 100,000aire.
True.
I've always said, like, there was one time, I'm going to give another story. There was one time I remember I was sitting in a restaurant, and this guy comes up, and he had somebody shadowing him, and he was about my age. And he was I just saw him, and I just saw him. He was tired. He was beaten up from life. Honestly, I said to myself, I would never allow myself to get back in that situation. I don't care if I went totally broke. I would move to Peru and be like a shaman's apprentice, or move to Wudang Mountain. I will never, ever, ever allow that to happen again.
Trust me, I know. I drive through my own neighborhoods and say the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Never again.
Never again. And guess what? If I were to go become an apprentice, there's a place in Costa Rica where I used to live. It was a Qigong center. And what they did was they said, come live with us. But you're gonna work, you're gonna help plant the crop, you're gonna help do this, you're gonna help keep things clean around here. Yeah. You're not even gonna work 40 hours a week, but you're gonna come and contribute.
Yeah.
I've always thought, like, man, if something like that were to happen to me, that's where I would go.
Yeah. Yeah. Listen, it's It's, like Einstein said, you can't solve a problem with the same level of consciousness that created it. So we have to understand that it has to be this shift, and I call it shifting into the wealth frequency. It really is the flick of a switch. And how do you get there? The first thing you want to understand is something that we all take for granted. We take for granted the things that we already have.
Yep.
A lot of the times we're complaining and we're worried and we can't get this and we can't get that and we can't afford to keep this, to keep that. How about getting yourself into the mindset of gratitude? True, real, deep, heartfelt gratitude for what you do have right now. So this is where the shift begins. Getting into the frequency of gratitude, understanding and knowing that everything you have now is an incredible blessing. The other day I was walking through my neighborhood and I walked past the tennis courts and the pickleball courts. And I played pickleball and I played tennis. And right now I have a torn labrum in my left hip and I can't play tennis or pickleball. And it wasn't even something I was passionate about. It was just something I would do every now and then with the family for fun. Now I would love to play pickleball.
Right.
I would love to be able to move side to side without pain.
Yeah.
Right? I now understand I didn't have gratitude for just being able to move like that.
Yep.
And now it's like, wow, I can't even get on the court with these old guys and play. Right?
What's the old saying? A healthy man wants 1,000 things. A sick man wants one.
Right.
And that's nothing further from the truth than that.
Man, listen. So in that instant, I went back in time to when I was able to play pickleball, and I will again. This will heal. And I just became very grateful, for being able to move and run and walk and move in ways that and feel no pain. And right now, I can't run. I can only walk. And so when I see people running past me on the beach, I'm like, damn, they can run and I can't run. I never knew what it was like to not be able to run.
Yeah.
I've been running all my life.
Yeah.
I got gratitude for being able to run in the past.
Yep.
You have to move into this gratitude for the things that you have, right? And then once you move into gratitude, you got to then take another level from there and shift into forgiveness. Forgiveness of yourself for anything that you may have done wrong or failed to do properly, and forgiveness of others that have hurt you or held you back in the past. And from there, you shift into this love frequency. Love for everyone, for yourself, and everything in the universe. Now you're on the wealth frequency. You're on the abundance mindset. And from there, you claim everything that you want in your life. And then you put the action steps behind it, and the manifestation will happen.
Yep, 100%. And so, look, again, guys, gals, we're putting in it, though, for those of you that are not going to go to the Qigong place and work for no money, which, trust me, if you end up doing it, I've thought about it before, so I ain't going to judge. But listen, for those of you that are still in this reality and you're not organized about your expenses and you're not organized about your debt and you're not making a shift and you're like, gosh darn it, I want to do it. I want to make a shift right now. I'm telling you, you can do it. Okay. I'm telling you that you can do it. And it may take you a year or 2 or 3 or 4 even. All right. There's a guy named Dave Ramsey. Some of you have heard of him. All right. I've taken his course. I got out of $250,000 in debt, a business that I had. Okay. And I got my credit good again. And I bought a house, and this was all inside of 1 year. But I had to really shift my focus. And this is what I've designed that you have in there. Okay. It stands for Financial Independence, Retire Early. There's actually a book written about it. Okay.
It's in the live chat. You can click on the link.
Yeah, you can click on the link.
Matt's been dropping the live. Matt's been dropping the link in the live chat all night. You guys can click on that link and you can get access to this free worksheet. Yeah. Yeah.
So it's in there. It's pretty self-explanatory. You put in your expenses. You put in your income. If you have any passive income, secondary income, you can put all that stuff in there. You can put your if you have a home, what your home is worth. If you don't have a home, that's okay. If you have a car, if you have debt, all these things in there, and it's going to calculate. And then you're going to tell it, all right, where do I want to be in 10 years, 5 years, whatever? What's my number? What is the number I want to reach? Okay. And it'll calculate and basically tell you percentage-wise how far away you are from it. But this is just like one stepping stone. You've got to take it to the next level. All right. You've got to take it to the next level because let's say, for instance, again, if you think that you're just in all of this debt and you're just going to pay the minimums, you're going to be stuck forever. Forever. Somebody in here, I think it was Pachamama. I think it was Pachamama. She ended up putting in there before a company that actually helps you consolidate your debt. I think this is what they do from what I grasp. Yeah. They consolidate your debt and then they bring it down to a reasonable payment so that you can get rid of it. Or, and this is what Dave Ramsey teaches, and this is what I did, okay? You take your smallest debt, you tell everybody to go fly a kite, all right? And by the way, a little secret, you can negotiate your credit cards down.
Yeah, that's true.
Everything is negotiable. Guys, I've literally negotiated bananas at the grocery store before. All right? People thought I was crazy. They're like, I had a friend, literally, they're like, you can't negotiate anything. I said, how much you want to make a bet? They're like, you cannot negotiate in this market. I said, I saw some bananas. They were a little bruised. I went up, brought the manager up. Man, come on, man. You know, like I ended up getting those bananas for half off.
Nice. Hey.
I've done it at the movie theaters.
Yeah.
People like, you cannot do that. Man, I went up when I was 16 years old. 16 years old. All right. And I walked up. I said, listen, see that girl over there? That's my girlfriend. I'm embarrassed. I didn't make enough money this week. I had to pay this and pay that. Any way you could hook me up with free tickets? Yeah, sure. Here you go. Like, you just got to ask.
You just got to ask.
You got to ask.
You know what I would do at movie theaters? When I was younger and I had my whole family, right? Going to the movies with 5 kids is like a $500 night.
Oh, my gosh.
I was looking for any discounts. I would say, can I have the senior citizens discount?
Yeah.
And they would give it to me. 90% of the time,
90%.
I would get the senior citizens discount on all the tickets.
Yeah.
Ask. And they would laugh, but they would give it to me.
Dude, but it's real. Like,
yeah.
Ask and you shall receive.
Yeah.
You will receive, guys, if you ask. But so many people, they get stuck. They're like, no, I can't do that. I can't ask for that. I can't.
Yeah.
Come on, give me a break. Of course you can. Of course you can. So here's what I want you all to do. I want everybody to pick this sheet up, and what we can do. There's Pachamama. Yeah, I can't forget those hand signals, pink hand signals I keep seeing on here. So I want you all to fill out this spreadsheet, okay? And I want you to start setting a goal, and I want you to start making a change. If you're stuck, maybe you like where you're at. There's been times in my life where I'm like, nah, I'm good. And I didn't need too much. But complacency can be a very dangerous thing as well.
Oh, yeah.
I'm telling you right now, work on bringing your overhead down. I know everybody's like, well, but I can't do this. I can't do that. Okay. You don't need to go to Starbucks every day.
No.
You can start making your own coffee at home. You don't need to eat out as much as you need to.
You don't need all them bags of weed.
You don't need all them bags of wheat. All right. I mean, even like for me, and so many people are like, what? Wait, I can't do that. Like, guys, gals, I have fasted 40 days and 60 nights. All right. 40 days inside of 60 days. Sorry. Listen, I'm not saying you should do that. What I'm saying is you can skip one meal, especially those of you that got a little extra love around the midsection. You could skip that extra meal.
You won't die.
You ain't gonna die.
Yeah.
Okay. You eat 2 meals sometimes. I eat 2 meals all the time. Like I fast generally like this weekend, I'm going to do a 3-day fast. You know, I'm going to do a 3-day fast just to let everything calm down in my system, you know, chill, get back on track mentally, spiritually, physically. But I'm telling you right now, there are things that you can do. You don't need Netflix. Well, you may. You may, but right now you don't. So you don't need HBO Max. You don't need all of these things. All right. You can do better, but you need to take a serious look at your spending. You need to take a serious look at what you're making. And instead of spending that time watching Netflix, do a side hustle.
Mm-hmm.
You can sell all sorts of stuff online.
Yeah.
You can do all sorts of stuff now.
Yeah. So many ways to make money. I'm finding new ways to make money every day. There's so many really incredible things I see people doing to generate revenue. I'm like, I didn't even think about that. That's incredible.
Yeah, me too. Like Toro, there's Airbnb. I mean,
it's a lot.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
It's amazing. So like when you sit there and you're like, oh, AI's taking all my jobs. It's like, no, you ain't thinking. Mm-hmm. You ain't thinking about what's up and coming, just like the farmers with the tractors. Mm-hmm. You got to be thinking ahead. If you want to get ahead in life, you got to be thinking ahead, right? I don't know.
Blockbuster Video was out before Netflix became a $1 billion corporation owned by Wayne Huizinga. Rest in peace, Wayne. And the problem that they had over there at Blockbuster was that they weren't ready to pivot when streaming was coming out. They weren't ready to make that move into that next area of technology because they didn't believe it. Netflix says, we believe it. And Netflix went on streaming and it got off to a rough start. There was a lot of lagging and delays and videos stalling out or whatever, buffering, but they did it. And when they perfected it, Blockbuster collapsed. Yeah. They waited too long to pivot.
Yep.
By the time they were going to pivot, it was just too late.
Yep. 100%.
Yeah.
And a lot of businesses do that. They get complacent. They're like, no, we're the top dog. You know, they went over to Netflix went over to try to sell their idea to them. And they were like, no way. Right.
Yeah.
You know, like, well, this is stupid. Yeah. They could have had it. The one of the largest companies in the world. All right. Now. Yeah. Literally, now they're probably like, geez, thank God Blockbuster didn't buy us, you know, but anyways, look, guys, gals, I want you to click on that. If you feel like you're not in a position that you want to be, click on that link. It's free, it's completely free of charge. We're not asking for anything in return. Just click on that link, the Financial Independence Retire Early. And let's get you guys rocking and rolling. Let's see how we can do this. And over, the next few weeks, maybe some of you can share your experience. Like, hey, I did this. Mm-hmm. Come next week to Conscious Finance. Come next week with a small win.
Yeah.
That's the way I do it. Like
one small win at a time, man.
One small win at a time.
Every day that I wake up, I just say, okay, I just need to win one thing today. One thing I have to win one thing.
That's it.
Just one.
Yeah.
And the wins add up.
They add up. They compound.
Man, it's crazy.
Yeah.
And eventually you look back and you're like, wow, I navigated that whole storm.
Yeah. It's compound interest. It's compound interest, guys and gals. So anyways, Billy, I think we're going to wrap up.
We're going to wrap up, man. Yeah.
Good stuff today.
Yeah. If you guys thought we were going to hop on here and give you all this financial literacy talk and be all proper and tell you how to get a life insurance policy and all that, no, we're going to the nitty gritty. It first starts with you in here and in here. And when you can get that running right and get on that frequency, that right frequency, then everything else on the outside will change.
Yeah. Yes. 100%. Change your environment. Things will start to change around you.
Yeah.
Guys, gals, do me a favor too. I'm trying to build my YouTube channel. There's where I'm talking about some really, really good content in regards to DeFi. Head over. It's just my name, Gven, Gven Sariol. We'll probably drop the link here. Head over there, subscribe. And I got some really, really good stuff on passive income that I'm personally using right now and showing all of my students. Right now, I have one that I'm showing people that's earning 20% per year with no risk. No risk. It's all learning how to become the bank. This is the way the banks do things. All right. And it's all in your custody. So you don't give me the money, you keep it. So we're going to show you all that. Anyways, all right, cool. Billy.
Hey, that's it, man. Thank y'all for joining,
Thanks,
man.
Brother.
All right, brother.
All right. Cheers. All right, everybody. See you later.